In summer of 1954, high school classmates Simeon Ampatuan Datu Manong and Caris M. Balaguer were walking uphill on a lane to a view of the old Cotabato Capitol building from Palang Road. Down memory lane, the walk must have been a hint of what the future would look like, not only for the young Datu Simeon, but also for the succeeding generations of Muslims in this country. Pointing to the Capitol ground from yonder, which was then under Governor Datu Dumas Insuat for a second term, Datu Caris Balaguer recalls his classmate and bosom buddy telling him in Magindanawan, "Never mind, for one of these days, we will be sitting here."
And on top of that, he graduated at the Cotabato High School in 1953. He proceeded to Manila and studied at UP. I was left behind.
Maraming magagandang nangyari sa buhay ni Sim Datu Manong dito sa University of the Philippines. Dito niya nakilala ang kanyang mga kaklase sa College of Law na nakilala rin sa kanilang katungkulan sa larangan ng batas o ng abogasya. Taong 1959 nang magtapos sa pagka-abogado si Sim. Kumuha siya ng bar noong 1959 pagka-graduate niya sa College of Law. Lumabas ang resulta ng bar noong 1960 at sa rating na 84.4% lumitaw ang kanyang pangalan sa talaan ng mga pumasa. At siya'y napabilang sa mga nakakuha ng may mataas na marka.
Sa UP unang nagkita si Daddy at si Mommy sa UP Law Library. Nagre-review si Daddy noon for the bar. Si Mommy naman kakagraduate sa UP at nasa kanyang unang trabaho bilang junior librarian.
As a matter of fact, I congratulated that particular situation. I was very, very happy about it because it was a clear demonstration of interfaith between the Christians and the Muslims.
Mataas ang markang nakuha ni Daddy noon sa bar dahil inspirado siya.
We practically belong to the same section throughout. And that is the reason why, since the arrangement of our sitting arrangement was alphabetical order, he was always close to me. Although there was another colleague of ours, our classmate, whose surname began with D, that is Erasmo Damasing Jr. So in the arrangement, you have Damasing, Datu Manong, Davide. And we had many professors who did so by shuffling cards, and you would be called after cards are shuffled. I was always scared every time that Sim Datu Manong was called. I thought all along the next to be called would be Davide. So I was always scared that when I will be called after Sim would be able to answer very well, and I would not be able to answer very well, I would get a very low score.
Malaki din yung influensya ni Daddy sa amin, sa moral development namin magkakapatid.
They have come up with a quality younger generation who are all well educated and leaders in themselves.
Ngayong pumasok na rin ako sa politika, inaaral ko ano yung leadership legacy ni Daddy dahil yun ang gusto kong pamarisan. Mas naintindihan ko to sa pakikipag-usap ko sa mga tao. Sabi nila, hindi ginamit ni Daddy ang kanyang opisina, hindi niya inabuso yung kanyang posisyon. Kaya naging effective siyang leader dahil nakuha niya ang trust at respect ng mga tao. Sa palagay ko, more than sa mga edifice na tinayo ni Daddy, yung ORC Complex, Regional Hospital, Polio Port, Airport, lahat ng mga natayo niya, lahat ng mga accomplishments niya, more than ito, ay ang leadership legacy ni Daddy ay yung naiwang tatak sa puso at isip ng mga tao.
One thing I noticed, he's a very simple person. In spite of the fact that he has been very long in the government service, you cannot see any sign of aggrandizement. He lived very simply, very soft-spoken.
Ayan ang example ni Datu Manong.
Very kind-hearted.
Mahilig siya magkwento sa amin. Mayroon kaming Daddy's time tuwing gabi. Nagbabasa siya ng story from storybooks. Mula sa mga storya, tuturo siya ng mga magandang katangian at mga values. Meron din siyang parating kinukwento sa amin tungkol sa kabaitan at generosity ng aming Amatua. Si Amatua yung tatay ni Daddy. Sinasabi niya, isusubo na lang ni Ama Tuwa yung pagkain. Binigay niya pa sa isang tiduray dahil gutom na gutom at walang makain.
I entered the Sigma Rho fraternity when I was already in the senior year in UP. And I joined the Sigma Rho fraternity only because of a special request from a classmate of mine who became a very close friend of mine, almost like a brother to me, the late Rafael Salas, Paeng Salas.
Okay.
That's and of course, Simi has always been a dear friend to me ever since, until today. Till now, he never changed parties. He became Secretary of Public Highways, Public Works and Highways. Later on, Secretary of Justice under Mrs. Arroyo, and then returned as a member of Congress.
Fast forward po tayo. Ngayon, hindi ako magtataka kung bakit niya inuna sa kanyang mga gawain bilang Secretary ng Department of Justice ang pagpapatatag sa PAO o Public Attorney's Office na siyang sandigan ng mga kapuspalad upang magkaroon ng patas na laban sa pagpapatupad ng katarungan dito sa bansa. Isa lamang siya sa mangilan-ngilang kalihim ng Department of Public Works and Highways na hindi natinag ng katakot-takot na korupsyon sa naturang kagawaran. Kabilang sa reformang ipinatupad ni Kalihim Dato Manong sa DPWH ang pagpapababa sa antas ng pambansang bayarin ng pamahalaan mula sa mga dambuhalang dayuhang bangko sa mga pondong laan para sa infrastructure development. Kinasuhan din sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon ang malalaking kontraktor at mga opisyales na nasangkot sa umano'y katiwalian sa DPWH.
Kasi Sir Fildo, administrator siya, magaling na administrator. No? Meron siyang determination, very firm. Pag sinabing projects, gawin, katulad doon sa EDSA, kaya sinabi niyo, gawin agad. Dahil kung hindi, katakot-takot na traffic maabutan natin, hindi gagalaw ang mga ekonomiya, ang business transactions. So, theoretically, there is no ceiling on the bids that may be received. No? Pero ang benchmark natin, yung tinatawag nating agency estimate ang tawag or approved budget for the contract. For locally funded projects, no bid can exceed that. For foreign assisted projects, they may exceed that. Usually, hanggang 30%. Pag 30% na, ayaw na natin ka, no? Ngayon, kumisan, at that time, na may mga unscrupulous contractors na pinaglalaroan, lahat sila, sabihin nila, total, wala naman ceiling, dito tayo, mag-uusap na lang tayo, lahat tayo, mga 29%, 29.5%, 30%. Sinabi niya, saan mataas to? Kaya nag-issue ng department order, ginawa niya 15% is the maximum. So, yun ang, may mga bold policies siya, katulad ano, kinilabanan niya yun. Bold step. Well, of course, his secretary, ayaw niya mga kalokohan, like yung scam, no? Siya nag-investigate ng vehicle scam. Honest to goodness siya, no? I mean, pag ganun lang yun, akala ko, very soft-spoken, pero determinado yun, ha? Yung tough din yun, inside, ha? And then determined, yun, yung experience na yun, because it led to reforms. I had no reservation at the time because I knew Secretary Dato Manong when he was very active in the development of Mindanao, having been, among others, the governor of the undivided Cotabato provinces, no? And then he spearheaded the Southern Philippines Development Authority, which was at the forefront of the development of Mindanao. And among other projects, I remember, he pushed for the completion of the Cotabato-Davao Road, the Polloc Port, the Iligan, Cagayan de Oro, Butuan Road, the Pan-Philippine Highway from Surigao going to Davao, and the road from Coronadal going down to General Santos, among others, But, he was one of the very strong supporters and advocates of those projects. Ano mga projects na push niya sa amin? Tatandaan ko lang, ha? Some of them already mentioned, I understand, by Yusek Banoan. especially in Mindanao, yung tinatawag nating Awang Upi Lebak Kalamansig Road, north-south yun. I remember, siya nagtulak nito. The Japanese at first were quite reluctant, no? Japan International Cooperation Agency, saka yung JBIC, Japan Bank for International Cooperation. They were quite reluctant to venture into these projects, particularly in that area, kasi at that time talaga medyo, alam mo na, ang situation doon, no? Pero siya nag-push, hey, bahala ako, you send your people here to make the surveys, I will take care of them. True enough, nagpadala doon. Siguro dahil because of that, yung secretary, nagpunta doon, nagawa ni studies, and finally, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, nagpunta pa yata sa Japan noon to follow this up. So finally, we got a loan from Japan, no? For the first time in Central Mindanao. Yun ang tinulak niya. Ngayon, tapos na yung project, at may continuation niya para tumuloy hanggang sa papuntang General Santos, and then paakyat papuntang Cagayan de Oro, no? Parang north-south. The others, konkreto yan. And the other project that I remember he pushed for very hard was this East Cotabato Diversion Road. Sabi niya, including the new bridge. Lagi niya sinasabi niyo, no, pagka nasira itong mga tulay dito yung kalsada, wala na kaming alternate, isolated. And he was able to convince, no, the Saudi fund. Ngayon, ginagawa riyan, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, matatapos na, halos tapos na itong project nito. And not only in Cotabato, his home province, no, pati yung Conference Road sa Lake Lanao, sa Basilan, yan, Saudi fund, yung iba, Kuwait fund. So, sa ibang part of the country, Metro Manila, itong, remember, EDSA Quezon Avenue, yan, sinimulan niya at halos natapos nung panahon niya. Now, without that, congested talaga ito, magiging bottleneck yan. And then ito rin simulan at ginawa during his term was this C5, Boni Serrano, Katipunan Road, yung pababa punta sa Libis, dito sa may and then C5 na. And then yung meron pa isa C5 Ortigas, favoring only certain areas like Mindanao. Kasi mula sa north, yung One Philippine Highway sa Cagayan, yung Alakapan, Aritao, Dalton Pass, the famous Dalton Pass. Sa Bicol area, yung Calawag, from Quezon yun, hanggang Matnog, Sorsogon. And then yung San Monico Bridge, that was rehabilitated kasi medyo tagilid niyan during his term din. And makikita mo priorities niya talagang yung mga major roads, mga critical areas. South Samar Coastal Road, that was a very depressed area. Yun, Secretary Tatpuno had a soft heart for yung mga depressed areas Ito din sa South Samar. Alam niyang puntahan yun, tapos Southern Leyte. And then sa Mindanao, itong rehabilitation ng Pan-Philippine Highway from Surigao, Agusan del Sur, papuntang Davao. And then itong flood control project sa Lower Agusan, may Butuan City, no? Dito rin sa Metro Manila, yung flood control sa Kamanaba. Yan, nasimulan sa yung Caloocan, Malabon, Navotas, Valenzuela area. Nasimulan sa panahon yan. Pati yung Agno River, Pangasinan. Hindi natin masasabing kaya pinunduhan to dahil yung wife ni Senator Secretary Tumunoy taga Pangasinan. Hindi. Talagang nakikita niya priority talaga yan.
I worked with him for 2 years as secretary in the Department of Public Works and Highways. There had been many other projects in Mindanao that he was able to promote and pursue, like the Saudi funds that made all these programs for the financing of Basilan Circumferential Road, Lanao Circumferential Road, Cotabato, the Cotabato roads, and many other things. Well, not to mention, of course, that when he was Secretary of the Department of Public Works and Highways, of course, he was able to promote many other projects all over the country.
Umalingasaw ang milyon-milyong katiwalian sa Public Estate Authority sa pagtatayo nito ng President Diosdado Macapagal Boulevard noong 2002. Ang unang-unang naging hakbang ng noy Pangulong Gloria Macapagal Arroyo ay palitan ang nakaupong PEA chairman at kaagad na itinalaga si DPWH Secretary Simeon Dato Manong bilang chairman at CEO ng Public Estates Authority, acting on concurrent capacity, ika nga bilang pinuno ng tatlong malalaking kagawaran o kawanihan ng pamahalaan. Taong 2003 nang si Dato Manong ay mahirang bilang Secretary ng Department of Justice. At sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon ay inakyat ng noy Chief Justice ng Supreme Court na si Larry Davide ang DOJ. Ang pagkakataong ito ay mistulang lumabag sa tradisyong pagkakahiwalay ng kapangyarihang ehekutibo, legislatura at judikatura. Ngunit higit na umiral kina Dato Manong at Davide ang pagiging dating magkaklase sa UP College of Law, kung saan sila naging magkatabi. At higit sa pagiging dating magkaklase at matalik na magkaibigan ng ibabaw sa dalawang opisyal, ang iisang layuning labanan ng katiwalian sa burokrasya. Taong 2003 nang tumayong leader si Justice Secretary Simeon Dato Manong ng Philippine Delegation sa United Nations na tinalakay at nagbigay ng talumpati ang kalihim sa issue ng good governance and anti-corruption.
He was given something about 32 million in the form of a check issued in his name. And from that amount, the office of the regional governor cost the government something about 4.5 million, all charged to the 34 million, and including some buildings, to include even the office of the regional vice governor now, that used to be the local government unit, and the Civil Service Commission building, and the fencing of the perimeter. It included even the construction of the Department of Education buildings now. The Department of Health, the Napulcom inside the ARM compound, and the Regional Board of Investment building, where the RBY is now occupying, and even the Regional Cooperatives Development Authority. The Sarip Kabunsuan now. And the RLA building only costs something about a barely over 1 million, to include even the annexed building of the RLA. The Pulyok port was constructed when Congressman Simeon Dato Manong was the commissioner of the Regional Commission. He was elected as member of the provincial board of the then province of Cotabato. He introduced several measures in the form of resolutions passed by the board during that time, with then Vice Governor Sergio Morales of South Cotabato was the presiding officer, and some of which were the installation of the Philippine long distance telephone in the city of Cotabato, to connect it to other systems in the other areas of the country. And another one was a resolution asking the national government to make the Kabudan River as a source of energy.
Yung Kabulnan, sana maintindihan ninyo yan, mga bata. Nasa kanyang probinsya yan. That is in the province of Maguindanao. And at that time, he was the leader.
And this was taken cognizance of by the national government, but it took some years to realize it.
He became a very well-known leader of Mindanao already at this point. When the Tripoli Agreement was concluded,
Dito sa House of Representatives na pinaglingkuran niya ng 2 ulit bilang Deputy Speaker, tinapos ni Congressman Dato Manong ang 3 termino mula 1992 hanggang 2001. Sa katunayan, isa siya sa mga nagsulong ng kaso ng impeachment laban sa nooy nakaupong Pangulong Joseph Erap Estrada. Batay sa talaan ng Kamara, isa siya sa 11 mambabatas na unang lumagda sa usapin.
From then on, he was already on top all the time. He was a dedicated public servant. But he is, as you know him, he is soft-spoken. He does not say harsh words to his employees, to us. Iginuhit ng tadhana. He was destined to be this way now. Iginuhit ng tadhana. That element of wisdom in his manner of carrying his activities as private person or as a public official. My wisdom.
Consider former Deputy Speaker and Governor Sim Dato Manong as one of the truly great Filipinos of our time. He is a man of simplicity and humility, but of great intelligence and great integrity. And he is the symbol of the quintessential Muslim patriot and nationalist, a Filipino patriot, a Muslim Filipino patriot and nationalist, who has brought prestige to the people of Mindanao, to Christian Mindanao, and to Muslim Mindanao, and to Lumad Mindanao. This is the great friendship and the great admiration that I have for the son of Maguindanao, son of the Muslims, friend of the Christians, one of the architects of the Christian-Muslim dialogue, my friend, Simeon Dato Manong.
Kasabay nito, tiniyak ni Dato Manong ang proteksyon ng mga mahalagang dokumento at ari-arian ng PEA. Ito'y upang maging
mga pangangailangan ng first yung EDSA National Road, especially doon sa mga lighting na kailanganin. They have their obligations to the people of the Philippines. They have their obligation to the government of the Philippines. And when they took their oath of office, they have sworn to live within the norms prescribed by law. And among them, to conduct a modest life in accordance with their personality, with their stature.